Well, Bruno Ierullo was a seasoned mobster by the time he was 15 years old. And then 6 years later, he heard a voice that changed his life forever.
Bruno Ierullo got involved in organized crime at a young age in Toronto, Canada. By the time he was 12, Bruno was sneaking heroin into a maximum security prison. But 6 years later, after being held at gunpoint by the Colombian drug cartel, Bruno turned from his life of corruption. Since then, he hasn't looked back and travels the world connecting people to the power of God. His conference, Kairos 2017, takes place in Kansas City, October 24th through 26th.
Well, please welcome Bruno to the 700 Club. It's great to have you with us.
Well, thank you very much, Gordon.
How do you become a mobster when you're just 15 years old?
Well, I was in a rough and tough area in Toronto. It was an Italian community, and that's all there was out there, really, it seemed. It appeared.
I just don't, when I think of Toronto, I just don't think of rough and tough. But maybe I just don't know it.
You probably don't. Toronto back then, 40 years ago, it was quite a tough city. It really was.
Okay. Well, how did you get started?
How did I get started? Well, I was looking for a role model. I was the only son in the family. I was looking for a role model, and I kind of found it on the streets. That's how it really began.
So you looked up to the folks that seemed to have power and money.
Absolutely.
On the street. They were your idols, and you said, I want to be like that guy.
Exactly.
That didn't work out for you, did it?
It didn't. It brought me through some experience, though.
I bet it did. You had a dramatic encounter where you heard an audible voice. As I understand it, you're in the middle of some kind of drug deal, and they think that you're getting ready to rob them, and so they attack you.
Correct.
And you heard a voice.
That's right.
What did the voice say?
The voice said, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Wow. How did that react to you? Did you have any Christian background to know that's a quote from Jesus in the Bible?
I really didn't, to be quite honest. But the moment I had actually been stabbed in the stomach and held at gunpoint, and that's just after the stabbing, I heard that voice, and I just kind of think, where did this voice come from? And I guess in time, I'd figured out it was Jesus.
Well, let's talk about that time. I mean, what happened to you after that? I mean, here you're stabbed in the stomach, and you confront them and say, I'm not, and they flee from you.
Correct.
You're stabbed, and they have a gun, and they run away from you. But what then caused you, I mean, you've taken a faith journey that's pretty incredible. What then got you to say, well, that was Jesus talking to me?
I think it was kind of like at the end of my rope. It was kind of like the bottom of the bottoms for me. And that was just the turning point in my life. And that just led me on the path of surrender. And so at that point, I said, God, I'm giving it all to you. And then I woke up my mom at 4 o'clock in the morning and said, listen, I'm going to be a Catholic priest, because that's all the kind of background that I knew in terms of serving God.
What did she say to that?
She said she was just excited. She was excited for me to be home and set, on a straight and narrow path.
All right. Well, you didn't become a priest, but you became a pastor.
Correct.
How did that work out?
Well, I went to St. Stephen's University, in the town of St. Stephen, New Brunswick. And I went to a Christian university thinking I was going to seminary, and there I met the Lord. Yeah.
All right, well, tell us about the Kairos conference you've got coming up in Kansas City in October.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting conference. It's more than just a conference. It's more than just an event. It commemorates 40 years of the big ecumenical conference in Kansas City, where 50,000 people gathered in Arrowhead Stadium. It commemorates the 500th anniversary of the Protestant Reformation and 50th of the Jubilee Charismatic Catholic Renewal and the Messianic movement as well, a Jubilee year for that.
So you're trying to bring all these groups together.
Exactly.
What got you started on that? Because you've been doing that for a while.
Well, I'm part of a group that used to meet here annually called the Charismatic Leaders Fellowship. You probably recall the group very well. And they were the pioneers of events that took place around the United States of America. And being part of that, I've been involved in Christian unity and promoting Christian unity.
All right, so you're trying to get Catholics, you're trying to get Messianic believers.
That's correct.
You're trying to get Protestants, you're trying to get charismatic evangelicals all together. And what's the aim of that?
The aim is that the world would know him through our Christian unity. See, the world is saying, hey, why don't you guys get it together? Because I see you're divided. And why should I be part of this group? So unless we kind of get it together, so to speak, we've got no buy-in. It's going to take a unified church to heal a divided world.
How can people get involved?
Easy. They can register online at Kairos2017.com. And we want to see everyone there. We want to see, there's great speakers, of course, you included.
I don't know if I'm a great speaker, but anyway, I'll take it.
But it's going to be a great event. It's more than an event. It's kind of a launching into the new. It's a time to work together with different denominations, different churches.
All right, that the world may know. I like that. Kairos 2017, it takes place in Kansas City, Missouri, from October 24 through 26. And if you want more information on how you can be involved, just go to cbn.com.